By the way, let me introduce our guest today, Paul Stone. You know he's here. He's my buddy he's facilitated me putting my retirement into gold and silver, and we're going to be talking about why that's a smart move today. Because there's a big crash coming. Paul Stone is the co-founder and CEO of Colonial Metals Group, a Florida-based precious metal supplier that helps clients develop secure retirement plans by investing in gold and silver. His writings appear at Substack at thepaulstone.substack.com. Welcome to the show, Paul. Paul is here to talk money real quick, and because he knows something about it. And I just want to tell you this. So we were talking about the interest rates and how that the fact that they kept the interest rates so low for the last 10 years or whatever, maybe 15, not a good sign. That's not a good sign. A healthy interest rate is indicative of a healthy economy. To keep an interest rate low forever means that they're juicing the economy, and it's not good news. Live updates: Fed keeps rates steady. So they have these meetings, and the Fed decided everybody thought they're going to cut the interest rate. So they raise the interest rates when inflation is happening, right? And that's supposed to calm inflation. So they're leaving so everybody thought, oh, the economy's doing great, huh? And so they didn't lower the interest rate. Here's real quick. The Fed held rates and released new Federal Reserve officials left interest rates unchanged on Wednesday and continue to forecast that borrowing costs will come down somewhat by the end of the year as inflation eases. So they're predicting inflation to ease enough that they could cut interest rates. Officials held interest rates steady at about 5.3%, where they have been since July 2023, when they released their policy decision and a fresh set of quarterly economic estimates, the first since December. So now that Powell has concluded his news conference, here are a few key takeaways. The first is that the interest rates are still expected to come down 3 times this year. I bet they don't. Recent warmer inflation, let's see what Paul says about this. Recent warmer inflation numbers have not been enough to derail that forecast. The second big takeaway is that the officials are looking for more data showing cooling inflation to feel confident in cutting rates. What other data matters? A weakening in the job market would probably nudge the Fed closer to a rate cut. So they're waiting for the job market to weaken before they lower your interest rates. It sounds like voodoo economics, as George Bush the first used to say. Powell suggested, but he wouldn't be a necessary condition for it to make a cut. Officials said it could cut it even with the resilient labor market. Doesn't that sound crazy? You'd think you'd want a strong labor market for a strong economy. I'll bring in Paul right now. Paul, why is a bad labor market mean they want to lower interest rates?
Generally speaking, when you look at the interest rate policy over the last many years, last few decades, you would see that towards the tail end of an economy that's overheating, you would see a very low unemployment number and wage pressure increasing, workers getting paid more to either stay in their job or being enticed away to another company would cause extra spending in the economy, which would then cause the Fed to raise rates to cool down an overheating economy. When you have interest rates or when you have unemployment very low here and inflation, one of the signals from the old days would be that the Fed hasn't done enough to raise rates high enough to then cause slower spending, which then causes companies to see a shrink in revenue, which then causes layoffs. You cause the layoffs, then there's a lot less spending in the economy, and the inflation, the overheating in your economy would slow down. So the conundrum is rates have risen a great deal very rapidly in the last couple of years, but unemployment still keeps going lower. Okay. So raising rates, typically, when you look at the charts, would show they raise them until they break that unemployment being a low number, and it starts rising, spending lessens, and inflation goes away.
But you told me last time we talked that that's not the real unemployment number, right? So they say unemployment's low, but unemployment is much higher than they're saying, correct?
Right. If you calculate unemployment the way they used to, just like when they used to grow food the way they used to.
Yeah. So back in the 80s, if they counted unemployment the way they did back in the 80s, where would the unemployment rate be now? Just take a guess.
Yeah, it's up around 25%.
Now, let's remember, during the Great Depression, the unemployment rate was about 25%.
Right.
So
here's how that value means something today as people are confused about what's going on. Because you'd say, oh, the economy looks great, unemployment's really low. Why is there inflation? The inflation isn't caused by a tight labor force, because the real reading, like the economy knows the truth. The podium can come out with whatever numbers they want to say to make you feel like they're doing a great job. But the economy knows the truth. So if you don't really have unemployment down around 5%, it's 25%, then the inflation isn't being caused by the labor force. It's caused by the printing of trillions of dollars.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So it just, I mean, I remember when they printed that $5 trillion during COVID in that CARES Act, and none of it went to regular people. It all went to the donor class, right? The millionaires and billionaires who don't need the money. They all got the money, and workers were left high and dry and having to live on whatever unemployment they could get or whatever. And I just knew that you can't just print $5 trillion and throw it in the economy without causing inflation. And they did cause inflation. Okay.
Exactly.
And so the Fed, what do you make of the Fed refusing to cut the interest rate?
To me, it just says they understand they're not going to be able to slow the printing press. So more and more trillions of dollars, we're seeing reports that scare us, right? Like they didn't think we would hit 34 trillion in total debt until 2029.
Right.
Right. So if it's speeding up the need for them to print more and more money, then they have to keep rates where they are to continue to try and not have inflation worsen to the degree where it becomes a firestorm and burns through your economy. And they're not going to be able to stop printing, and it's getting worse.
And what was the number? Is it they're printing $1 trillion every 100 days in debt?
Yep. And just my gut. And, I still don't have a crystal ball. It's a magic 8-ball. But in my gut, I would expect to see that it's $1 trillion every 50 days by the end of the year.
Oh. So all this says to me, this is why I had lunch with you. This is why I started putting my retirement into gold with you, is because of this stuff. You know what my theory is that there's a huge crash coming. It's coming. And so I'm putting my money into precious metals, mostly gold. And so I have a substantial percentage of my retirement in gold. And my financial future is secure with gold and silver. That's why I decided to sponsor, and I partnered with Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a safe and secure self-directed IRA where I have access to my assets no matter what the stock market, or for that matter, whatever the government's doing. I have access to it, and plus I got it in gold coins. Okay, so let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. We put together a special offer. Listen to this offer. You click on the link in the description of this video or call the special 800 number, and you're going to receive a safe and up to $10,000 in free silver. I don't know how they could do that, but go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy Dore Show. colonialmetals.com/Jimmy-Dore Show. Or you can call 888-910-1419. That's 888-910-1419. And a nice person like our friend Paul from Colonial, he'll tell you all about it. I had lunch with Paul. When he explained all this to me, I was like, hey, I'd like to work with you guys. And I'd like to put my retirement money in an IRA account with you guys with the precious metals. So go to 888-910-1419. That's Colonial Metals. Or you can go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy-Dore Show. Or click the link in the description. Hey, there's still tickets available in Stockholm, Oslo, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Cortland, New York, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Edmonton, Alberta, Vancouver, British Columbia, Denver, Ashland, Virginia, and Athens, Georgia. See you there.